Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, amazingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Thursday, August 31st, 2023. This is live stream 959. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And normally we'll take a look at a game, a first look. Sometimes we do an unboxing or we do a page through if it's a role-playing game. Every once in a while I'll do a live review. But those are kind of few and far between. But tonight, we are actually going to dive on in and take a look at something that is coming out next week. That's right. We are going to take a first look at Tales from the Loop. They grow up so fast. From my friends over at Free League Publishing. So we are going to be diving on into this new adventure collection in just a little bit. So stay tuned. Now, if you're tuning in live because you want to see the page through of They Grow Up So Fast, got to point out we tackled the tabletop gaming news first around here. So it'll probably be 35, 40 minutes or so before we get on into that first look. So if you're watching live, just relax, kick back, enjoy yourself. We'll get to it. Don't worry. Now, if you're watching the show 30 minutes or more after the stream has ended, well, then there will be timestamps. So if you're impatient and you just gotta get to that first look, you'll be able to skip past the tabletop gaming news. Although I've got cool news tonight, just like I do every night I do a show. But I know some people, they want to just get right down to the nitty gritty. I get it. Well, you'll be able to. Those timestamps will be located in the show notes, and depending on the device you might be watching this on, could be right there in the timeline of the video itself. So there is that as well. If you aren't watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, then by all means, be sure to go visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you will not find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Lastly, this is a live stream. So that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that keeps some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours in order to take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of those more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, maybe there's something about They Grow Up So Fast you want a closer look at, by all means, chime in. I'll do my best to respond. So first out the gate tonight is Stray Kismet. Kathy Evans is with us. Kevin King is in the house, as is Flaming Huron, one of our chat moderators. Quantum Phase Dragon is joining us, as is Roger Perdome. Wraithing is with us. Wraithing usually catches the show on Memorex. So good to see you hanging with us. Typical DM is with us. Yes, it has been a while since we've seen Typical DM hanging with the gang, but good to have you here. So Wraithing says, just here for the news. Nitty gritty will have to be on Memorex. That's okay. However you want to tackle the show is cool with me. Do apologize, a few minutes late starting tonight. Every night before I start the show, or I don't want to say every night because I don't do a show every night, but every time I do a show, I have learned to check to see how is the internet connection. So when I did that tonight, it was just a couple of minutes before the show, and usually everything's fine. There was a bit of an issue with the upload speed, and I was like, uh-oh. I don't want to start doing the show and have all these drop frames and have like just be awful. So I had to reboot the router, and it actually took a bit longer to cycle than I'm used to. Although I got to point out, I did get a new router not too long ago, about 2 weeks ago, when we actually boosted the speed on the internet. And that's one of the reasons why you notice the streams are very, very clear, knock on wood, as of late. So apologize for being a little late tonight. Wild Hunter is with us in chat as well. We got a nice chat off and running already. Would not be surprised if our mysterious second chat moderator is lurking. Yes, Sarah D. If you're watching, howdy, howdy. Hope you're feeling better. I know you're recuperating. So hopefully you're not sitting around too much, because I know the surgery on your leg, you got to kind of move around a lot, which I understand. I completely get that. All righty. So let's jump on into the news. Returning to print by way of Sparkworks and Tabletop Tycoon is Healthy Heart Hospital. Here's the latest. Do you have what it takes to save the hospital? People are grumbling about the quality of their health care, but they still show up at Healthy Heart Hospital hoping they made a smart decision. Much has been said about the previous administration's haphazard management of Healthy Heart. In an effort to save the hospital, you and your allies among its leading physicians have staged a clinical coup and taken over the hospital to restore its prestige. However, actually managing things from the inside is never as easy as it appears from the outside, and juggling the responsibilities at Healthy Heart Hospital can quickly turn even the noblest healer into a money-grubbing pragmatist, cynically looking for a place to hide the victims of your care. Does your team have what it takes to bring Healthy Heart Hospital back to its former glory without becoming hard-hearted in the process? New in this edition is updated artwork, a reduced number of components, and streamlined rules. Components can be stored in a new hospital bag. Right at the beginning of the game, you actually give yourself a room and add a room each round. The ambulance cards from the previous editions have been removed as well. Your main goals are to not go broke and not to run out of places to hide bodies. This third edition of Healthy Heart Hospital is for 1 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, plays around 45 minutes, and it does carry an MSRP of $50. So, I am of two minds with this release. Now, if you have been around following the gaming gang for quite some time, you know Healthy Heart Hospital was a Victory Point Games release. And I reviewed it when it originally came out and liked it a lot. In fact, it was one of the first kind of true Euro-style board games that Victory Point Games released. So I was very pleasantly surprised by that. Now we got this new edition because Tabletop Tycoon owns Victory Point Games. Strangely enough, it's actually being released under Sparkworks, which is another publisher that Tabletop Tycoon owns effectively, which I thought was kind of strange because it's a Victory Point Games release, and they do release games from Victory Point Games. But I guess because this is so unlike the Victory Point Games titles that Tabletop Tycoon has released and is releasing, they decided to release it as a Sparkworks game, or Sparks. No, it is Sparkworks. So, like I said, I'm of two minds. One, the original game was really good. Really enjoyed it. If memory serves, I gave it a 9 out of 10. It was that good. And now they're streamlining it. They're taking things out of the game. I don't know. I don't know. And there are a lot of people out there who are not fans of Tabletop Tycoon, mainly because they used to be Game Salute, and there had been problems with Game Salute. So I don't know. I got to be honest, though. I have reached out to Tabletop Tycoon because I have reviewed some of their games, mainly the stuff that came out from Starling Games, such as Everdell and Black Orchestra and, what was it? Sorcerer? Was that what it was called? The one where you were playing magic users, which was actually pretty good as well. So I did reach out to see, maybe check this out. And they do have, I think, a trio of Victory Point games that they have remastered that are coming out shortly as well. One thing I had to laugh at, I'll wait till we come back around to the cover art. So Raything says the cover artwork looks like Grey's Anatomy mixed with ER. And Sarah D is with us fluttering about in the shadows. So when the cover art comes back around, look at the gentleman in the middle who's supposed to be like the hospital administrator. It's Vincent Price. It's supposed to be artwork of Vincent Price. And that was one of the things the original Healthy Heart Hospital did, is they had artwork based on like famous actors and things like that. Here I noticed a lot of the artwork. I'm not sharing it here, but wasn't a character's name Bernadette in Big Bang Theory, the blonde with the glasses? They've got an image. I think she's a doctor, and it's obviously that actress. So, Indarius Termini is joining us. Says those doctors in the art look like a bunch of doctors from TV, like Ducky from NCIS or Martha from Doctor Who. Actually, you know what? The African American image there does look like the actress who played Martha on Doctor Who. You're right there. You're right on it. So, yeah, Sarah D says Melissa Rauch played Bernadette in Big Bang Theory. I didn't watch the show too much. I wasn't like enamored by it, but I didn't hate it. Like some people were like, oh my God, that is awesome. And other people were like, nah. I thought it was fine. I found it to be entertaining, but I didn't, go out of my way to watch it. But I am excited to see this make a return. Like I said, I'm just curious about, I don't want to say dummying down, but they've kind of changed the game. So I'm sort of like, Tessie Trekkie is with us in chat. Welcome aboard. Let's move on to some role-playing game news, because Anodyne Printware and Exalted Funeral have joined forces to bring you a Mothership Adventure collection. And here's the scoop on Hull Breach Volume 1. Hull Breach Volume 1 is a massive collection of 26 adventures and supplements spanning over 200 pages of all new content, brought to you by a killer international crew of third-party Mothership authors, designers, and artists. It's everything you'll need to run Mothership First Edition for years to come. Yes, this is not for Mothership Second Edition. Although, to be honest, I don't think there's going to be that huge a change between editions. To help you find precisely what you need on game night, we've divided the book into 5 convenient chapters. There's Intel. Level up your warden skills with essential toolkits, mechanical innovations, and theory columns from veteran horror game masters. Missions. A thoroughly play-tested stable of adventures ready to rock your next one-shot or refill your season cruise job board. Locations. Yes, it's all location, location, location. I'm tossing that in. stations, planets, and more to vibrantly populate your campaign world. Entities. Drop in NPCs and extraterrestrial horrors to stalk your players' dreams. Wouldn't it be more like nightmares, though? And assets. Loaded for bear with cassette futurist tech, weapons, and survival gear. Though explicitly designed and statted up for Mothership First Edition, Hull Breach contains plenty of resources and content applicable to any science fiction role-playing game. No matter how you play, Hull Breach will work for you. But that's not all. There's a secret book within the book, an invisible world lying just beneath the surface. Hull Breach articles weave an interconnected web of hooks, rumors, and crossovers dangling for players to tug upon. Appendix materials like the sector map, conspiracy board, and corporate factions outline an expansive space dominated by the Publico megacorporation and arm you with tools to effortlessly run a campaign therein. It's a complete campaign package when you need it, and an eclectic assortment of shiny toys when you don't. The 232-page A5-sized Mothership Hull Breach Volume 1 hardcover, say that 5 times fast, with PDF, mind you, is available through Exalted Funeral for $50. Or if you want to just grab the PDF alone, you can do so over at Drive-Thru RPG for $29.99. Looks mighty, mighty cool. So Raything says first edition is second edition. It was zero edition first. So Tessie Trekkie says, Jeff, the box set that Mothership is releasing soon is first edition. Pretty. This book is written for that rule set, the new one. There we go. Okay. Nice. Very cool. I've got Mothership. I picked it up for a deal. I want to say it was from Exalted Funeral. And I think it was right after the Kickstarter for the upcoming edition. I guess we'll say that. So there's less confusion, right? But I did not dig into it. I did share a first look video of it, but I didn't dig too deeply into it because I figured, well, you know, that other edition's going to come out. But everybody loves it. And I got to say, looking through it, I was impressed because there was a lot jam-packed into that digest-sized book. There really, really was. Tessie Trekkie also points out that, ooh, I want it. So Stray Kismet says, Price was a voice actor in a bunch of the Hollywood stories you posted during October, right? Yes. Vincent Price. The Vincent Price. I know, I must be getting old when some people aren't too sure who Vincent Price is. But yes, Vincent Price was a fantastic radio actor. And did not always play the baddie as he did many times in movies and television. Tessie Trekkie says the new edition of Mothership is much, much deadlier. Sticking with the science fiction theme, arriving in stores from Why Not Games is Rocket Age, Arthur's Guide to Martian Life. I've got the skinny. Mars is not a large planet, merely half the size of Earth, yet it hosts several native habitats and tens of thousands of native species. The noted and sadly late Dr. Arthur Wesley has explored many of these and filed extensive reports with the International Committee on Intellectual Cooperation. This publication details the most extensively studied creatures of Mars, their native habitats, and includes drawings based on the sketches of Dr. Wesley himself, with an appendix on artificial life on Mars written by Frank Knight. Over 20 new creatures native to Mars, such as the crested mammoth, giant tessalon, and enigmatic vapor wraith, are fully statted out with story hooks to help the GM get them off the page and into the game. Major ecosystems of Mars, such as the rice grass savanna of the South Polar region, the lush, well, for Mars, canal valleys, and the dangers of the open desert are detailed. In addition, Frank Knight has appended his thoughts on the artificial life on Mars, such as warbots and the dread Robo Queen. Mars is home to strange alien life forms that want to eat you or be your friend. Maybe both. Ranging from plants like Arthur's Hydra to the deadly gray hunger swarms, these critters will make adventures on Mars exciting and rewarding. At least exciting and fulfilling. Filling their bellies, most likely. Arthur's Guide to Martian Life contains more than just deadly creatures. It details the many ecosystems of Mars. There's a lot of life on Mars that doesn't need game stats, but exists for flavor and ambiance. Each ecosystem is given a panoramic view inspired by biology texts of the mid-20th century that shows the environment and the common animals found there. Appended to our copy of Arthur's Guide are Frank Knight's notes on the artificial life of Mars. Warbots, Robo-Queens, and others are described in detail and commented on by the greatest European PI in the solar system, or at least on Mars. Maybe the greatest in the city-state of emancipation. Okay, top 10 at least. This 44-page softcover, and I gotta be honest, I don't know if that page count is correct. I don't. I got that page count from Drive-Thru RPG. And we do know, on occasion, their page count is way off. But it says it's a 44-page softcover with PDF. It's going to carry an MSRP of $25, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at Drive-Thru RPG for $15. So if you are a fan of pulpy science fiction, Rocket Age should be right up your alley. Now, something I have found pretty interesting is, if memory serves, Rocket Age originally was published by Cubicle 7 Entertainment, but that was back when Cubicle 7 Entertainment would publish other companies' games, which they no longer do. But they did that. They did Cake Bread and Walton games. But the thing I found interesting is I think that Rocket Age really took off, no pun intended on that, when they did a 5e edition. So now their releases are for both their own core system, which I got to be honest, I know nothing about, and for 5e. So, and like I said, I thought that was very, very interesting how you're seeing more and more Rocket Age releases once they did that 5e conversion. Flaming Heron says, yeah, it's hard to say the page count. Normally, they add the table of contents to their previews. Raything says, India planted their flag on the moon water. Tessie Trekkie points out, yeah, this looks pretty interesting. Flaming Heron says, there's more life on Mars than Earth at this rate. Well, maybe more intelligent life. Agent Especial is hanging out with us. Wild Hunter points out Vincent Price was the narrator on the Thriller video. That is correct. That is correct. And if we go back a little bit, he also provided the voiceover for the Haunted Mansion ride when you waited in line to get in. Paul Frees did the actual voiceover of the ride itself. But Vincent Price did the narration as you were standing outside in the line. Because we were like, one of the cool things about the Haunted Mansion, now I haven't been to a Disney park in a long, long time, probably about 26 years. But one of the cool things about Haunted Mansion was, unlike some of the other rides, there were all these little things going on as you were in line. Now, that became kind of a Disney thing with their rides, but that wasn't the case back then. And yes, I still remember good old Vincent Price doing the narration as you were waiting to get in. On to my final news piece. Making its way into stores in print this October is Shadow Dark from the Arcane Library. Here's the lowdown. In Shadow Dark RPG, you and your group of crawlers use magic, steel, and wits to delve into mysterious ruins, lost cities, and monster-infested depths. Wondrous treasures and long-forgotten secrets await you, but don't let your last torch burn out, or you could be swallowed by the Shadow Dark. 5e players will find what they've been waiting for, an intuitive and complete tabletop role-playing game that serves as a seamless bridge into the heart of the old-school Renaissance. Old-school gamers will find a system that is familiar and nostalgic, but with major quality-of-life upgrades that modernize the old-school experience. Your legend awaits, crawler. Lift your blade, light your torch, and plunge into the unknown depths of the Shadow Dark. Shadow Dark RPG has familiar elements of classic fantasy gaming, but it isn't a retro clone. A lot of new game design ideas have emerged in the last 50 years, and we wanted to bring our favorite concepts together into a nostalgic but new adventuring system. In this game, torches only last 1 hour of real time. The characters and players must make decisions quickly, or they'll run out of precious light. A few other features include the 4 core classes: fighter, priest, thief, and wizard. A d20-based roll-high system. No dark vision. Total darkness is dangerous. Treasure grants XP, and tracking it is dead simple. Roll to cast spells. Magic is exciting and risky. There are simple distances: close, near, and far. Monster morale and reaction rolls. Always on initiative. Time is easy to track. We've got our 6 classic stats. My gosh. Need to moisturize the old mouth muscle here. The 6 classic stats. 3d6 in order. No skills, just ability checks and advantage, disadvantage. Separate ancestry and class. Randomized character class abilities with emergent character growth. Low hit points for fast and deadly combat, and simple encumbrance. You have gear slots. Right now, you can still pre-order the core book for $59 through Backer Kit. Now, rumor has it, the retail edition, and I'm not talking about the deluxe retail edition or the deluxe edition. I'm talking about the standard retail edition, I have heard through the grapevine, is going to carry an MSRP of $75. So you can save a bit of money that way. Or you can grab the PDF right now from the Arcane Library for an MSRP of $29.99. Or if you'd like to dip your toes into the system and check it out, there is a free quick start over at Drive-Thru RPG. So I want to discuss Shadow Dark a little bit, but let's wrap up the news first, because I am very, very curious about not only the role-playing game itself, but some of the reaction that I have kind of seen online about it. So I'm kind of curious, those of you in chat, if any of you back this, if you've received the PDF, if you've checked this out, I'd like to know what you think of it as well. So Flaming Heron says, giving the quick start a look as you speak. Well, as I have spoken, I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG. So let's wrap up the news by me once again, as always, mentioning that the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG or Storyteller's Vault, because I think today's like the last day of their big Vampire the Masquerade sale, or it kicks off tomorrow, one of the two. Maybe you're going to go over to Dungeon Master's Vault or Drive Through Cards or Drive Through Comics, any of the One Bookshelf sites. Before you stop over at their website, please stop by thegaminggang.com first and click on one of our banner ads, because that way, if you use one of the banner ads, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, outside of giving it a thumbs up, hint, hint, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, by all means, please swing on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang and make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda, which helps me moisturize the mouth machine. I don't know why I keep calling it that this week. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, thankfully, there are a lot of people out there who utilize the banner ads and or visit paypal.me/thegaminggang. So big tip of the cap to you all out there who do that. Thank you. Because if you're not super familiar with the Gaming Gang, you may not realize I do not have a Patreon. I do not do an annual or biannual Kickstarter saying, oh, it's for season 14, which would really be what we're approaching. That's right. I know. Come October 1st, we will be entering the 14th year of the Gaming Gang. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. Just like I mentioned last night, I can't believe I've been doing the live shows for almost 6 years. Crazy. It is pretty crazy. All right. So that's it for the news. So about Shadow Dark, I know it was like super hot. It had a big Kickstarter, over $1 million. I think off the top of my head, I think it was something like $1.3 million. So it was super hot. And I really didn't share any coverage of it simply because everyone was sharing news about it. And I remember seeing quite a few role-playing game related outlets who, at least in my opinion, seem to have reputations of giving everything a thumbs up. You know what I mean, jelly beans? Talking it up, which kind of, I was a little leery, made me a little bit leery about it. Stuff that I tend to see those outlets like focusing on all like at the same time kind of sets my spider sense off a little bit. But it looks really cool. And its designer, trying to remember the designer's name, Kelsey Dion, I think it is. I think it's Dion. She has a really good reputation with 5e adventures that she's published. And the Arcane Library has been around for a while. Thank you. Rathing had just pointed out, yes, it's Kelsey Dion. I'm taking a guess that's the pronunciation of the last name because there was a famous hockey player who had that last name. And that's how it was pronounced for him. So I'm taking a stab. So Rathing says they backed Shadow Dark. They got the PDF. It's very much an old school variant with some useful 5e changes. The graphic design and formatting is excellent for clarity. Tessie Trekkie says Shadow Dark is an awesome game. Back for the PDFs. It's a streamlined new SR system that's familiar enough to move 5e players across. Jen F is with us. Welcome aboard. Jen F says, I backed Shadow Dark and I love it. I only used it for short adventures with newbie players. So I'm now starting to hear like pushback on Shadow Dark. And this is one of the reasons why I was curious about those of you who are watching, who are in chat. Many of you hang out here all the time, not all the time, but a lot, right? So I trust you're not gonna, you're not gonna BS me on stuff. And so far, everybody's saying it's really good. But I have started to see people pushing back on it. And I'm kind of curious about that, because are they pushing back on it because it's like the hotness in OSR right now, and Old School Essentials is kind of like back there in the rearview mirror? And there are some people who are upset about that because Old School Essentials is BX. And, you can't be an old school Renaissance game if you're not, based on D&D, right? I mean, that's the mindset of a lot of people. Is there pushback because it's a woman designer? I'm kind of curious about that as well. Oh, there's a girl who thinks she knows the OSR and they weren't around and didn't work for TSR back in the day. There are a lot of people like that out there. Or is it like Morkbork, or as I always like to say, Mirkbig? And there's just so much dog shit out there from third-party publishers for it that it's sort of reflecting back on the core game. Because for a fact, there are a lot of Mirkberg releases that have come out through their third-party, licensing that have just been god-awful. Where it's all art punk, no game. And the art punk isn't all that good either. So I'm just kind of curious, because I am very interested in this game. Now, I have no relationship whatsoever with the Arcane Library, so it's very, very doubtful that I'll ever have an opportunity to share a review of this with you. But I am very curious about Shadow Dark, because personally, I kind of get the impression that it does kind of incorporate a lot of kind of new SR mechanics or tweaks, I guess I'll say, that we have seen from other games. So maybe that's part of the pushback, is that it's a lot of little like index card role playing, right? Which I think is just phenomenal. It's not for everybody, but I think it's a phenomenal game system. I understand Shadow Dark kind of borrows some things from that, I guess. Is that why some people are like really vehemently pushing back on this role-playing game suddenly? Is that part of the reason? I don't know. I have no idea. One thing I do like, and I had mentioned this before when I was doing that series about let's create our own fantasy role-playing game. In my opinion, the only race, species, however you want to put it, that should be able to have any sort of dark vision is dwarves. That's it. No elves, no half elves, no half orcs. It's like, no. Dwarves mainly live underground. Even halflings, I wouldn't give them dark vision, because even though they live in like hidey holes, they don't that's not where they work. They're out and about, under the, in the sun. So, all right. So let's see what's going on in chat. So Gen F said, yeah, their players enjoyed it. They like the no dark vision and grittiness. Tessie Trekkie says it could be the websites I visit, but a lot of the grognards, which is not how it's pronounced, by the way. I notice a lot of people say grognard. That's why I'm saying grognard. It's grognard. Somebody busted my chops on a show one time. This was a while back when I pronounced it the correct way. And they're like, don't you even know it's grognard? It's like, don't you know it's French and that's not how it's pronounced? So a lot of the grognards were annoyed that A, Kelsey is effective at marketing, and B, she has a wife. So what? I know. Raything said, I got a shock how well it did, and I'm pretty sure Kelsey Dion got a bit of a shock too. She'd been working on it for ages. Very nice. Well, that's cool. Flaming Heron said, you'd hope not, so long as it's not absolute garbage. I give every game a go. So just because the creator has a wife, they're a woman and has a wife, I'm guessing. I don't know. I mean, the author might be trans. I don't know. I've seen it. I think I've seen pictures of her in the past. Anyway, that person's gender identity is, I don't, why do people get worked up about that? I just don't understand that. It has nothing to do with the game. It's like, give me a break. That's why I say all the time, and I get people bust my chops when I share coverage of role-playing games that are from conservative authors. And I get people who bust my chops when I share RPG info and reviews and news and stuff like that from authors who are gay or trans. It's like, you know what? You can get your panties in a bind if you want. It's not going to stop me from just sharing content that I find interesting, that sparks my interest. 245 Trioxin is with us. Says, most of the pushback I've seen is that it's only focused around dungeon delving, but I think it's easy enough to adjust the rules when you're not in a dungeon situation. You would think. Maybe that's a supplement that's on its way, or maybe it's a supplement that some third party is working on. Hopefully it's not as bad as some of the other third-party supplements and materials I have heard about. 245 Trioxin says, people just want to run raw anymore and not customize. Wild Hunter says, I always like dark is dark. Low hit point systems and armor reduces damage systems. I agree. I like that. It's hard to find the balance between realism, grimdark, and playability. Raything says, it might be faulty old man memory, but I think I remember her saying she had the chance to play with Gary when she was a kid. Oh, that's pretty nice. Flaming Heron says, I always believed elves should have low light, not dark vision. Wild Hunter says, elves used to have ultra vision, like Ultraman. Better vision at night, but no good underground or indoors. Wild Hunter also points out grognards are old war gamers. Yes, that is what it's supposed to reflect. War gamers, not old-time role players. Although many old-time role players were old-time war gamers. So there is that. Wild Hunter says, who cares? Kelsey's a great designer. Right, exactly. So there you have it. That's why I'm curious about what you guys think of the game, because I want to know what is legit and what is bullshit. And I am not a fan of getting a lot of bullshit from different people. So Wild Hunter says, if the GM is right wing, do the players get better guns? Yes, even in systems that like settings that don't have firearms, they get them. Raything asks Jen if she ran a gauntlet. Would I take a guess? A gauntlet is like a 0-level funnel, kind of along those lines. Just taking a stab. I don't know. I'll maybe I'll reach out to the Arcane Library, see if they might be interested in having me share coverage of the book, or any of their other stuff that they've got. It's not only Shadow Dark that they've produced. And you figure it's not, as far as I understand, it's not out in stores until October. So I take a guess next month, maybe the Kickstarter backers are going to get their copies. Could be. Hey, so everybody, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts about Shadow Dark because, like I said, I'm very curious and I would prefer to not have to listen to a lot of the just the white noise about games, because it's just, especially when you get somebody who's not heterosexual as the game designer, it brings out some of the ass clowns. You know, they're not going to, you know, sit there and say, well, the reason why I'm mad about this game is because of their gender identity. It's not that. They make up bullshit. So, Right Thing says the Gauntlet is a funnel, but you only play one 0-level character at a time. Typical DM says, that's why we come here, no white noise. Yeah, you just get a little bit of the, you know, the feedback off the mic. That's all. All righty then. So, yeah, we are going to be diving on into Tales from the Loop. They grow up so fast from Free League Publishing in just a couple of moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn? Your favorite soft drinks are sparkling cold. The juicy Frank sizzling hot. There's delicious coffee, freshly brewed, and all kinds of ice cream and candy to tempt you. Showtime will be announced loud and clear to get you back to your car in time. So stretch your legs. Come to the snack bar now.
Who's there?
May.
May who?
Maybe you could use some artificial ingredients in bars from Mars.
Artificial? Never! Artificial is a nasty word at Mars.
Everything's for real in bars from Mars. Milky Way bars, for instance, are made the Milky Way with gallons and gallons of fresh whole grade A milk, fluffy whites from fresh eggs, not powdered ones, and real milk chocolate, the world's finest. That's why every bite's a luscious, chewy treat. Milky Way gives you real satisfaction because there's nothing artificial in it. Everything's for real in bars from Mars. The best candy on Earth comes from Mars.
You win a new car or a case of Wilkins Instant Coffee.
I'll take the Wilkins coffee.
We'll never get rid of that car.
What's the greatest jet prop airliner ever designed? Remco's Flying Fox, with real motor-driven jet prop engines. The giant cockpit with dual controls has room in it for 2 kids to control every action of the plane. In the air above the cockpit roars the mighty Flying Fox airliner. The engines are revved up separately from low to high speed. Hear that powerful jet sound get louder and louder as you rev her up. While flying, you retract the landing gear. You yourself make the plane climb, bank, dive, and turn in flight, while cockpit instruments keep you on course. For night flying, switch on the red and green wing lights and blink them. Kids, fly Remco's Flying Fox jet prop airliner for the greatest thrill of your lifetime. Only $14.98. Remember, every boy wants a Remco toy, and so do girls.
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
All right, hey, Joe, what I want you to do is we're going to shoot the Remco Flying Box plane commercial. So I want you to light up that cigar and just blow smoke at the plane. Just blow it. People will think it's clouds, okay? Just keep blowing that smoke. It's funny. It's like, oh, yeah, 2 kids can play with this at one time. Do you see those kids were falling all over each other, trying to hold on to the wheel on each side? Tessie Trekkie points out, $14.98. That's ridiculously expensive. Yes, that was pretty expensive for a toy back in the day, seeing that most of the dolls that we see where they give a price is like $3.98, $4.98. Oh, and don't forget, as Wild Hunter points out, and so do girls, they enjoy those Remco toys too. Hey, and plus we got to see Wontkins live. Wontkins lives! Wild Hunter points out after that previous discussion, they're thinking of self-identifying as the Grognard GM. Nice. All right, so tonight we are going to dive on in and take a first look at Tales from the Loop. They Grow Up So Fast from Free League Publishing. It's written by Oz Mills with artwork provided by Yaroslav Kubicki, Martina Starsuska, and Simon Stollenhog. This 92-page hardcover arrives September 5th. It's going to carry an MSRP of $33. Yes, I will say it right now, right up front. I think that's pricey. For a 92-page hardcover, it's kind of pricey, gotta say. All right, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got They Grow Up So Fast. Do you want to mention my friends over at Free League Publishing were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. These days, it's important that you know that. We're not going to look at each and every page of They Grow Up So Fast, but I do want to give you a good feel for what's in this adventure book, and I'm kind of curious about it myself, so we are going to dive on in. Lastly, this is an adventure supplement, so if you are a player hoping that your game master is going to pick up Tales from the Loop, They Grow Up So Fast, probably want to tune out now, even though I know nothing about what's in this book. Haven't even taken a look at the back of it yet. There's going to be some spoilers just from us flipping through this. So you have been warned. But of course, if you are hoping your GM is going to pick this up, you might want to point them to this video so they can get a better look at They Grow Up So Fast. All right, so let's take a look at the back. Everything changed on that fateful day. Looking back, I know that whatever we did changed our lives forever. The sky ruptured and something strange came through. It was a great adventure that showed us how little we knew about the universe. It was scary and yet magical. I wish we could do it again. In these 4 adventures that together forms a campaign spanning the seasons of a year, the kids will be tested to the limits of their abilities. When an ordinary camping trip turns into something else, they will discover that friends come in all sizes and forms, and even from different worlds. E.T. Together they will go on an adventure they will never forget. Wild Hunter asks, is there a link between Free League and Modifius? Not that I am aware of. But I will point out, this is a really small hobby. It really is. And most of the people who are in the hobby know each other. So like Cubicle 7 Entertainment, Free League Publishing, some people might think, oh, well, yeah, they don't get along because of that whole The One Ring thing. Absolutely not. They get along just fine. I'm sure Chris Birch and a lot of the folks over at Modifius Entertainment are the same exact way. All right, so we're going to get into the introduction here. It was not fully understood in the 1980s that there were other worlds out there, so we already know there are aliens involved in this. Strange alien worlds separated from us not by distance, but by reality and dimensions. In these other places where the physical laws are similar yet unfamiliar, previously inconceivable life thrives. What if that life needed your help? Would it recognize you as a friend? Would you be able to help it prosper and return home? Oh my God, this is E.T. What is this called? Should be called the extraterrestrial. What's going on here? Let's see. What if there were others from this world who wanted that life for themselves, did not understand that it was intelligent and feeling just like you? Well, well, well. And they grow up so fast, you can experience 4 seasons of raising and protecting one such new life. Over the course of a year, the kids find an unhatched creature and keep it safe from those who may harm it before it makes its way back to its own weird dimension. All the while, they are dogged by adults, other kids, and even a government agency that wants to find the alien for themselves. I do believe that this actually takes place in the UK. So we get a new loop. So we get that. Wild Hunter says, or asks, Swedish version of Stranger Things? Actually, Tales from the Loop came out before Stranger Things. In fact, it was pretty close time-wise to them coming out. But, I think Tales from the Loop is great. I really do. I think there was a bit of a misstep with Things from the Flood. So if you're not overly familiar with Tales from the Loop, it's set in the 1980s. It's kind of a kids on bikes sort of role-playing game. And no, I'm not talking about the role-playing game Kids on Bikes. It's kind of what the genre is considered to be, where you play kind of like tweens and early teenagers. And I think just Tales from the Loop is a blast. It is loads and loads of fun. And it's really got its finger on the pulse of the 1980s. As someone who grew up as a teenager in the 1980s, maybe that's got a little bit to do with me liking it so much as well. Things from the Flood advances the storyline into the 90s. It is darker. So like in Tales from the Loop, it is highly recommended that you never kill off the players. Never kill off their characters. Because, they're just young kids. That's not the case in Things from the Flood, where now your player characters are late teens, even like 20 years old. And it's still a really good role-playing game. I just don't think it did as well for Free League Publishing as Tales from the Loop did, simply because Tales from the Loop is a far lighter tone. So let's see. Yeah, so it is Norfolk, right, just northeast of London. So it is taking place in the UK. With the story of They Grow Up So Fast, as a game master, you have multiple opportunities to have different experiences. Much like you might when watching a movie and empathizing with the people on screen, you have a chance to feel a little of what others feel and understand their life experiences. Talk with the other players about bringing some of those themes to the forefront. Think about discussing some of the following as you play. What does it feel like to be an outsider? How does it feel to have lost your parents? Have you ever had to go into hiding to protect yourself or hide those you love? Is life worth protecting, no matter what kind of life it is? So here it looks like we're getting some background about Norfolk in the 80s, going to the beach, playing soccer or football, watching TV, BMXing and exploring, entertainment. Okay. So here's our Norfolk loop. Oh, there we go. There's our creature. Sorry, everybody. There's our spoiler. My apologies. But they kind of told us right off the bat what's going on, right? So Wild Hunter says best kids on bikes role-playing game that they've run and played is Grimm, the dark and twisted fairy tale game. Stray Kismet says Goonies. Yes, Goonies is a perfect example of a kids on bikes movie. Stranger Things, yes, obviously enough. In fact, I want to say I think the whole kids on bikes term originates with Stranger Things. Although, of course, look at any Super 8, any of the movies where our protagonists are younger kids. Monster Squad, I know I mentioned Monster Squad the other night, are all considered kind of kids on bikes movies. It's just the term. I don't remember hearing the term until Stranger Things was out. In fact, I think it was about the second season of Stranger Things that we started to hear. And I think that's when Kids on Bikes came out from that gaming company that shall not be mentioned on the show any longer. Okay, so should point out, if you are not overly familiar with Tales from the Loop, it is more of kind of scene-based role-playing game. So here we've got various different locations where things are going on. We've got our NPCs and creatures for our first chapter, which is Easter Egg Hunt. This is no doubt when the kids find the creature. The best of what might be. With the summer holidays fast approaching, the kids would usually be looking forward to months of freedom. Something they've found, however, has their attention, and it's not long before the result of their spring investigation turns summer into a season of danger. And Darius says it looks like a pig fetus. Yeah, it kind of looked a little bit like a dog in that third picture, and then it looked kind of like, is it melting? Does it need to go back in the fridge? In that last one. Wild Hunter says 80s UK was post-punk, new romance, and music reality shows like Pop Idol and Thatcher's Britain. Another good kids on bikes role-playing game is Bubblegum Shoe. If you're interested in running a game that maybe you want to kind of channel Scooby-Doo, right? Really, really well done. It utilizes the gumshoe system, but it is not from Pelgrane Press. If I remember correctly, I think it is from Pinnacle Entertainment Group off the top of my head. All right, so we've got our locations here. Like I said, I'm trying to stay away from spoilers, but I want to give you a good look inside. There we go. Ooh, it's kind of... It is kind of melty. You might be wondering, what is the loop? So it's been a while since I did my review for the core book. But if I remember correctly, I think the loop is supposed to be a particle accelerator. But this also is a setting that they've got like weird technology. There's robotics. There's anti-grav through like magnetism, if I remember correctly. Jack Hank says OSR has a kids on bike like setting. Yeah, what is isn't it Bloat Games do, what is it? Dangers and Demigorgons? I know it's not. I know Demigorgons is in the title of it. And that's an OSR kind of kids on bikes. But really, as far as the popularity of role-playing games where you are playing, preteens, I think really kind of took off with Tales from the Loop. And there were other games before that. But I think Tales from the Loop is really the one that got it going. Now, Tales from the Loop does use the Year Zero engine from Free League Publishing. It is a very rules light usage of the Year Zero engine, which you're rolling 6-sided dice. You have a dice pool for your attributes and your skills. And simply enough, you have to roll a 6 to succeed. That's it. Now, I know some of the Year Zero engine games, now it's like 4, 5, 6 is a success, or 5 or 6 is a success. But if memory serves me correctly, with Tales from the Loop, it's 6s. That's why there's a set of dice for Tales from the Loop that have like a special symbol on the 6s. Wild Hunter says this seems inspired or influenced by X-Files too. A little bit. Flaming Heron says, I think Bubblegum Shoe is Evil Hat. You know what? I think you're right. I think Flaming Heron is correct. That was one of the last PDF reviews that I did, if memory serves, is Bubblegum Shoe. Really liked it a lot. And the thing I really liked about it, and that's also the case with Tales from the Loop, is that just because your characters are kids, it is not a kiddie game. Now, granted, I did mention that it's frowned upon to kill off the player characters in Tales from the Loop, but it does deal with some, pretty mature topics as well. All right, so this is going to be our finale. Now we get our important NPCs. And it looks like we got some of the NPCs are still the same. Yeah, right, like here. So I think there's probably a bit of growth or change of attitude, because really the NPCs don't have stat blocks and things like that. Wild Hunter says, just got into the Year Zero engine. It's cool. It plays well and is surprisingly realistic for a D6 system. There are some of the Year Zero engine games that don't use a D6. They use a D10. So one of those is Twilight 2000, actually. So Straight Kismet says, don't have to kill a child to give them crippling consequences. No, you don't. Certainly don't. And I know it's completely off topic, but it's like I found it very strange. As I mentioned before, I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3, and it's like one part of the game, kids get killed, and then another part of the game, it's like, oh, combat breaks out, and automatically the kids are gone. Sort of like, okay, so it was okay for kids to die here, but not here? It's like, all right, that's a little weird. Anyway, that is Tales from the Loop. They grow up so fast. From Free League Publishing. I know it was a bit of a flip through, and once again, I was trying to stay away from spoilers, but I did want to share a look inside the book with you. And of course, as usual, looks like we've got our usual high quality production from Free League Publishing. We have the nice thick paper stock that I really like. So very nice. I will have a review of They Grow Up So Fast pretty fast. Now, this is supposed to come out September 5th. So I'm going to do my best to have my review done September 4th, because it's not real long. It's 92 pages. So anyway, so I'm going to try to have my review done and up early next week before this hits stores. The PDF is not available yet. Now, I have the PDF because, as I've mentioned before, Free League Publishing likes to send me the review PDFs through DriveThruRPG, but you can't buy it yet on DriveThruRPG. So maybe for the review, I'll try to do a PDF giveaway. I'll throw a contest out there. All right, so this is They Grow Up So Fast for Tales from the Loop, hitting stores on September 5th. It'll carry an MSRP of $33. All righty. Yes. Free League Publishing, they're one of the top, in my opinion, one of the top role-playing game companies out there. You may have noticed that I tend to focus on companies I think do really good work. So that's one of the reasons why you see me cover a lot of Cubicle 7 Entertainment, Chaosium Inc., Free League Publishing, Modifius Entertainment, Paizo. I know some people don't like the fact that so much Pathfinder and well, not so much Starfinder right now, but so much Pathfinder content comes out. But still, for the most part, they do a pretty good job with what they release. Most of their adventure paths are, on average, better than many of the D&D adventure books that have come out. Although, speaking of, I guess that's pretty good segue, huh? Speaking of the recent Dungeons and Dragons adventure books, don't miss out on your opportunity to win this edition of the friendly local game store cover of Phandelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk. I am going to have my review of this out this weekend, and I am going to announce the winner during that review. So because this doesn't come out in stores until the 19th, but it is coming out on D&D Beyond on the 5th. For some strange reason, a lot of stuff going on September 5th, a lot of stuff, especially role-playing games, a lot of stuff going on September 19th as well. So if you haven't gotten into the contest yet and you want to win this copy, get on board. It's pretty easy. You got to watch my first look video. I tell you how to get into it, but it's kind of par for the course for many of my reviews. Speaking of reviews, stay tuned because I will be sharing my review of Pirate Borg, another September 19th release. As I pointed out before, my review is done. It's up on YouTube. I think I'll put it up on Saturday. I'll do it on Saturday because tomorrow I'll share my page through and first look at Cults of RuneQuest, the Earth, I almost said Earth Mothers. I don't know why I want to keep saying that. The Earth Goddesses from Chaosium Inc. So I already showed the first look video for the Lightbringers, which was very interesting. This is pretty cool too. So definitely stay tuned. I've been trying to get more videos out for everybody. Trying to get them out for you. All right. So Wild Hunter says, everyone seems to be either playing Baldur's Gate 3 or watching other people playing Baldur's Gate 3. I don't understand that at all. Just like I encountered a video, it was recommended to me on YouTube. I have no idea why. And it was the reaction of someone watching someone reacting to watching a movie for the first time. Now, I don't understand the fascination people have with reaction videos in the first place, because the reality is, I don't really give a shit what somebody's reaction to a movie trailer is. Who cares? Or, oh, here's my reaction to hearing this song from 1995 for the first time. Who fucking cares? See, unfortunately, this falls into the whole category of all these people out there thinking they're far more important in the great scheme of life than they actually are. Thankfully, I know my place. So, I'm sure a lot of people out there are thinking, well, Jeff, who gives a shit? What do you think about role-playing games or board games? I'm with you on that. I'm not telling you have to care. But yes, it was the video of someone's reaction to watching a reaction video of someone watching a movie for the first time. I forget what the movie was. It wasn't like Citizen Kane. It wasn't like Casablanca. It was some dipshittery movie. Anyway, but yes, I don't understand the whole watching other people play games. Now, if you're stuck on something, of course. But even my nephew Cameron, he still does it to this day. He'll watch people play a game that he wants to go buy. And it's like, are you watching a review? Because, there's some reviewers out there who, do video games and they're legit. They're not just there to blow smoke up your ass and that. He's like, no, I'm watching them play it. I was like, but I thought you wanted to play this. He goes, I do. I'm like, well, why are you watching them play it? And it's always like, like a Fallout game or something like that. It's not where it's like some open world, open-ended. He's not watching them play RimWorld or something. He's watching them play. It's like, oh, you're watching them play Dead Red Redemption 2 or Red. Yeah, it is Dead Red, isn't it? It's not Red Dead. No, it's Dead Red. For some reason, I always screwed the name of that up. It's like, why can't I ever get that right? But it's always, he's always watching something where it's like, well, these are set pieces. So now you've got the surprise ruined. I don't understand it. I just don't get it. So Joe O is with us, says they set the loop in their hometown and played younger selves with local settings. That's cool. They triggered 2 players that ended the game quick. Glorious. And Darius says, I kind of wish Free League could get the French RPG Worm 2E as a product line. I think Free League is kind of going the way of Cubicle 7 Entertainment, that I think they want to have more of the games that they release to be in-house. So like Mirkbig is kind of nowadays, I think it's more an exception to the rule. Cyborg, more an exception to the rule. Pirate Borg. I think the Borg games, they're kind of, but as far as like Symborum or Symborum, as I always pronounce it. So yes, it's Red Dead Redemption 2. Thank you. That's an outside company, but I thought, now I could be wrong, I thought they were being acquired by Free League Publishing. So, but yeah, there's a lot of games out there that would be better served if some bigger publisher picked them up. All right, Flaming Errands is pretty much what I said earlier. They want to be their own publisher of all their products, for all their products. Yeah, it's pretty much, like I said, Cubicle 7 did the same thing. That they published a bunch of different stuff from different people. And I know I've had the conversation with Dom. There's a lot of conversations I have with people in the industry that I am unfortunately not able to, bring you up to speed on because it's off the record. But I know that publishing games from other publishers, especially as role-playing game companies, is kind of a pain. So there is that. All righty. That's it for this time out. Next week on Tuesday's show. All right, where is it? Where do I have it? Where did I put it? I have so many things stacked up around here. Here I'm looking, I'm like, it's a role-playing game, isn't it? Isn't it a role-playing game we're looking at? No, it's not. We're going to be taking a first look at Tiny Epic Vikings, as well as its Ragnarok expansion. These are both from my friend Michael Coe over at Gamelin Games. Then on Wednesday, we're going to do another War Game Wednesday. We're taking a look at North Africa 41 from GMT Games. And then a week from tonight, I don't know. There's supposed to be some items in transit. I don't know if they are or not. But we'll try to do a role-playing game. We will definitely try to do a role-playing game. Joe O says, I need Free League to do Ghostbusters. I need this. Yeah, the old West End Games Ghostbusters, that was not actually a bad system. So Wild Hunter says, I love Cubicle 7's Nyamba and Doctor Who. Some Doctor Who news. Okay, you know what? We still got a couple of minutes. I always try to do no more than an hour and a half on the shows. So, I'm not going to get too inside baseball. I'm not going to get into too many details. But if you watch the Gaming Gang Dispatch, you know that there was an issue going on with Cubicle 7 Entertainment, that they had changed PR people. And I told you before, it's like, damn it, whenever these companies change PR people, a great many of them just, when they leave, they take all their contacts with them. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who are marketing experts in the tabletop gaming industry who couldn't find their ass with both hands. So anyway, they'd got a new PR person, and all the news from Cubicle 7 Entertainment dried up. All the review copies from Cubicle 7 Entertainment dried up. And I kept reaching out, and I was like, hey, what's going on? I mean, other outlets were sharing news. ICV2 was sharing news of Cubicle 7 Entertainment releases. And I guarantee nobody over at ICV2 is like searching through Cubicle 7's website to get the news. So somebody was sending them press release info, but I wasn't getting any. So anyway, Gen Con comes around. I talked to TS Lucart, who's a good pal of mine. In fact, he's such a good pal, he gave me an invite to Blue Sky earlier today. So I now have a Blue Sky account. See you, Twitter. Oh, I'll still probably post, like auto post stuff on Twitter, but I'm not going to invest too much like personality time on Twitter anymore. So anyway, talk to him, and he's like, hey, things are going to change. I hear what you're saying. He goes, Jeff, we love your work, so on and so forth. Got to meet this woman, young woman, seemed very nice. Talked to her. My brother was talking to her for like 20 minutes while I was talking off the record with Don McDowell. And get back from Gen Con, and it's right back to the same thing. Nothing. Crickets. So I reached out to TS, sent him a message. I said, dude, I don't know what the deal is. I'm like, I see ICV2's got news about Cubicle 7 Entertainment coming out, and it's not even on the Cubicle 7 Entertainment website. So I know damn well that somebody sent them the press release. And yeah, I have a little bit of ego. I don't have a ton of ego, but I've got some ego. And let's be honest here. I can guarantee you my coverage has provided far more sales for Cubicle 7 Entertainment than any coverage they've ever gotten from ICV2. I don't care how many eyes are on that news. It's just a news piece. So anyway, my feelings were hurt by this. I mean, I do take some pride in what I do. Hey, if I could afford to have better like equipment and stuff like that, of course, yes, I would have that. But I make do with what I've got that's why I joke around and call it the duct tape studios. So anyway, I find out that that PR person was fired because they weren't really doing any PR. So, I mean, I never want to see somebody lose their job. I was just hoping that they would straighten up and fly right. But so we should get back on track with Cubicle 7 Entertainment in the very near future. So, and I've got some Cubicle 7 Entertainment reviews on its way as well. All righty. So that is it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also inform you when I upload other videos, such as tomorrow's first look at Cults of RuneQuest, the Earth Goddesses. See, I didn't say mothers that time. From Chaosium Inc. If you were watching live, thank you very much. Definitely. So Wild Hunter says, never heard of ICV2, but I bought about a dozen games based on your reviews. Thank you. And as I always point out, if you purchase something based on a review or coverage that I provided, do me a favor and do that publisher a favor and let them know. Let them know how you heard about the game or what helped you make a buying decision, because you'd be amazed. A vast number of these publishers have absolutely no idea what makes buying decisions easier for their customers. It's crazy. Anyway, as I was saying, if you subscribe to the channel, obviously enough, and when you're out watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the Gaming Gang channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. I will see you next month. So enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, what have you. Have a great weekend. Like I said, I'll see you next month. And until I see you again, here's hoping you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.